beginning, defining enterprise class cloud computing. That's really the overall theme of this show, of course, is the enterprise level. Let's look at managed cloud services with William Toll from NaviSite. And if you're joining us out there on the World Wide Web, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you too. William, please, define enterprise class cloud computing, sir.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Okay, thank you everyone for coming. I hope you're having a good show at Cloud Expo. This is pretty exciting times in the world of the cloud, now that things have been somewhat defined and somewhat static, but as with all things cloud, they never stop moving. So I'm from a company called NaviSite. We are a public company based in Andover, Massachusetts, and we've got over a dozen data centers around the world, 2 in the UK and the rest in the US. And we're a managed hosting provider. So traditionally, NaviSite has been a managed hosting provider to enterprise-class customers. We focus on enterprises. So launching managed hosting servers, managed messaging, including Exchange, Lotus Notes, the Oracle e-business suite, PeopleSoft, Microsoft Dynamics, Microsoft CRM, and several other applications. So if we think about, hold on a sec. What are the top challenges facing IT today? So NaviSite did a survey of our customers to understand what are their challenges in terms of information technology across their organization, whether they're a smaller enterprise or a large enterprise. So when we think about their top challenges, one of the top ones is staying current with technology, applying business processes using current technology. These are tough things for IT departments to either foster or keep a lid on or somehow govern across their organization. Another key challenge that IT is facing in the enterprise today is remaining efficient. Managing all those servers in multiple data centers, dealing with backups and other compliance issues around security and regulations can be quite the challenge. And remaining efficient is not something that's easy to do if you've got loads of physical infrastructure all across multiple data centers. And in these days and times, unfortunately, there's issues with gaining access to capital and loans. And this is another top challenge that they're facing. And then there's the big projects, the dream projects, whether it be business continuity or disaster recovery, things that are difficult to accomplish in a traditional IT organization. This is something that we're going to talk about in a few minutes. And certainly dealing with regulations, maintaining PCI certification, for example. And another thing that many IT organizations that are fortunate, they're facing mergers and acquisitions where they've got teams and legacy hardware, legacy infrastructure that they need to integrate across their data centers. So if we think about the definition of cloud, and it's not another definition, but we do have 2 quotes here, one from NIST and one from Gartner. At the end of the day, it's the underlying characteristics that are the same. I think we've all come to the conclusion that when we think about cloud today, we think that it's a shared infrastructure, it's services-based, it's scalable and elastic, and it's usage-based metering. It's a pretty simple billing model, and we'll go over that in a few minutes. But I think that's pretty safe to say. If we look at the history and how we got here in the enterprise, we think back to the 60s and mainframes and the progression that happened on-premise, and then we think about the world of hosting and how things really spun up during the internet years from co-location through virtualization and now the cloud. And all of these different transitions that have occurred in enterprise IT have happened over the years. And each time it seems to me when I read about it, and I'm old enough to experience quite a few of it, these transitions, it's pretty traumatic. But once it starts rolling and the ball starts rolling, it becomes something that everyone starts to look forward to and really starts to research and understand and define the different cloud environments. So if we look at the stack today, we look at the different models, we know that at the foundation, at the core, we have the infrastructure as a service provider model, and that's something that NaviSite falls into. And we look at the platform as a service that the different platform providers are pushing. That's a great model for applications that are really in tune with that unique PaaS platform. And then there's software as a service, building applications on top of that. And of late, we see and read a lot about the business process as a service. I think there's some great opportunities there to really wrap up the entire stack. So now we talk a little bit about NaviSite and our enterprise class platform here. We define cloud computing at NaviSite as an on-demand provisioning and consumption of IT services which are elastic and usage-billed. So if you look at our stack of vendors that we've worked with and partners, we think about VMware for virtualization, certainly the enterprise provider of virtualization technology. We think about Cisco and the great UCS platform, something that NaviSite invested heavily in the very early days last year and have worked closely and hand-in-hand with Cisco to really take it to the next level. And we use IBM's XIV storage. When you look at this whole platform, it really is enterprise-focused. We allow our customers to either self or it's fully managed. So we do offer full management on the virtualized clouds. It's service-oriented, and we do have some hybrid models where they can integrate with their on-premise IT. So, second. So the key benefits that NaviSite sees for our cloud is a lower total cost of ownership. If you think about all the opportunities that cloud provides, not only to consolidate, but to really bring business processes to the cloud in a way that really enables an efficient use of resources across the organization. It's pretty dramatic. When you think about the lower cost of ownership, we talk about usage billing in the sense that there's no longer a need to have this tremendous capital outlay to bring on infrastructure for a new project or a new team or due to an acquisition. We think about the operational efficiencies and business agility. So now teams across an organization can rapidly and quickly spin up new infrastructure in a way that was kind of unheard of before. I think I saw a presentation earlier today to deploy a large ERP suite. We identified about 30 major processes and, of course, hundreds of processes underneath them. And all those tasks can be rolled up with the cloud to 10 from 30. So a pretty dramatic efficiency improvement. And when you think about the cloud and trusting an infrastructure as a service provider, you really need to have your SLAs, and you would hope that the provider bakes those SLAs into the platform. So ensuring that the network infrastructure, the compute infrastructure, the storage infrastructure, let alone the data center that it all gets wrapped in, is available at a great service level. And just want to share with you briefly, this is NaviSite's cloud interface. What we can see here is it's a very modern Web 2.0 interface. And it was designed by a team of developers and engineers that NaviSite employs in in New York State. And you can see here that the servers are set up in groups. So it's pretty simple to create a new group, whether it's the dev test group or the production group, or it's a departmental group. And within those groups, users can create subgroups. Those subgroups can be assigned different tasks. Those tasks can all be wrapped up into and have different rules applied to them, whether they're firewall rules, load balancer rules, or different management rules. So it's literally a right click on top of the server to clone it, to stop it, suspend it, to restart it. It's a pretty simple to use interface. We started this project about a year and a half ago, I believe it was, and it's culminating with this week's launch. So this is launch week for us. It's pretty exciting. We've got quite a few beta customers that have been working with us, and the feedback has been tremendous. So another view here. This view here kind of demonstrates one of the things that NaviSite believes that is critical for the adoption of cloud computing, and that is the real transparent view of infrastructure. You know, when we think about working with a hosting provider to build your deployments on, you really want to ensure that you still have access. You can still see the system. You can still understand what's happening. You can understand spikes in usage for memory, for CPU, for networking. And this makes it a little easier and more digestible for enterprise IT to move forward with the cloud. So I think when you look at an enterprise and their propensity to move to the cloud, I think they're in different levels. And this is based on some research that we've done and working with quite a few of the leading analysts in cloud computing today. We think about level one. Maybe these are companies that have limited or very little virtualization technology that's been deployed today. Maybe these organizations are reluctant to outsource. And today they're probably in research mode. There might be some organizations here today that are investigating the cloud, what it means, what it'll mean for their roadmap, what it'll mean for their processes. And we think about the second level, and I split these into two. The first level, maybe they're minimal use of virtualization. They might have outsourced in the past, and they're probably in a stage right now where they're exploring cloud services. But we look at the next phase, level 2B here. They've got extensive use of virtualization, maybe across multiple data centers, across departments. Maybe they've taken some of the departmental apps and brought them together and virtualized them to become a little bit more efficient. But they're reluctant to outsource. Maybe they're doing some experimentation. Maybe there's a rogue group somewhere in one of the teams that IT never can keep the lid on, and they've moved forward, and they've tried some experiments. And when they come back to IT says, well, we're still investigating the cloud. Why don't we wait a little bit? And then we look at level 4, and these are the companies that truly understand virtualization. They truly understood the web services and SOA movements. They're very comfortable with IT outsourcing, and they're probably already doing some cloud work today. We've read studies, we've seen case studies of companies that are using some of the big public clouds out there, maybe not mission-critical data, but they're out there and they're using the clouds today. We also see more and more enterprises really taking an interest in cloud computing. And that's something that NaviSite is responding to, and that's what we're super excited to launch, our NaviCloud. So if we look at the cloud capability levels out there, this is the way we view the world out there. We see level 1, and these are the public clouds that we all see on a daily basis, and certainly Amazon's done a wonderful job bringing the cloud conversation into the fold and really fostering a grand movement, a movement that spans enterprise IT, spans the ISV community and their desire to move forward with the cloud as well. And really what we're talking about there today is server consolidation, right? That's really what we're talking about. And it's self-service. It's pretty simple to quickly log on with a credit card and buy an account. And that's a great philosophy and a great move forward. But when we look at level 2, we look at enterprise IT and their needs. So with level 2, they're looking for a cloud provider that really understands their business processes and how they're going to be implemented in the cloud. A level 2 provider really understands SLAs and how the SLA can go from the infrastructure layer straight up to the application layer. A level 2 provider will also bake in a lot of security and compliance processes into the cloud. So it's really difficult to, as many of you know, to really remain compliant and secure in the cloud. And new clouds, some of the new providers are really starting to respond to that. There's some new vendors out there as well. The NaviSite Cloud and several others really bake in compliance from the ground up. And, sorry about that. Level 3, if we think about level 3, this is really the top of the cloud today. And maybe that's including an extreme amount of transparency, an extreme amount of integration with on-premise, whether it be authentication services or beyond. It means instant deployments, rapid deployments, and it also means application awareness. I think there's no doubt in our mind that the next phase in cloud computing really is about the application. So if you think about the application being in tune with the cloud, this is the way we're headed. So if we look at the approach to billing, there's a lot of different approaches out there, and I think if you look at maybe the small business approach, it's about buying a virtual machine, buying a cloud instance, spinning it up, using it for a period of time, and moving on. But I think when you think about enterprise IT, they've invested heavily in building environments that span multiple data centers, that meet high availability requirements, that meet disaster recovery and business continuity requirements that they have for their business. What they're really looking for is a complete environment. So what NaviSite has done is we built an environment that customers buy into, and they can spin up as many virtual machines as they wish. They can spin them up, they can tear them down, spin them up, tear them down, and they're not charged per virtual machine. They're charged for the environment. We have 2 billing models today. One is a true pay-as-you-go, pay what you've used. We also have a commit model, and in this model, NaviSite will work with the customer over a period of time to really understand their usage level and slot them into one of our levels. When they're in that level, they can bounce above that level to a degree, and if they go over that level for a period of time, they can bump their monthly commitment. And it makes it easy for them to have a predictable billing model to allow different IT teams in different groups or different geographies work with the cloud and not be surprised by any monthly billing issues. So we think about the cloud and the enterprise, and we think about some surveys we've done with our customers. What are they most likely to be doing with the cloud today? And one of the top things are new initiatives, because one of the things that the business benefits by having a cloud infrastructure is they no longer are kind of bound by IT in the sense that they can move forward and really focus on their core business. And focusing on their core business again allows innovation to occur, allows business process improvements to occur. And this really allows new initiatives to get created. So with the cloud, new initiatives are pretty simple and relatively risk-free. So if we look here, We see certainly a minimal investment to get started, and certainly a rapid deployment to get that project up and running. And then it's a pretty simple, predictable billing model for maintaining that project. And if at the end of the day that project or that application does not work out, there's really no sunk cost. There's no infrastructure that was bought for, paid, amortized over a period of time, and they can redeploy those instances or simply terminate them. And another major use case certainly involves some of the items on the right-hand side. We can see extreme temporary loads, maybe a cyclical business where the enterprise 4 times a year or twice a year experiences an extreme load and really can't afford any availability or downtime issues associated with any unavailability or what have you. And then we think about applications and ISVs and what they're trying to do here with the cloud. We think about certainly different use cases that the cloud truly brings to the table. I mentioned before the projects around business continuity, the projects around disaster recovery. These things used to require a lot of planning, a lot of infrastructure, multiple vendors, a pretty complex approach to something that seems like it's necessary and certainly is necessary when problems occur, but not something that every organization has ever been able to achieve on their own or using their own budgets in a traditional physical sense. And this is what the cloud brings up. So if we think about the key drivers here for use cases, all the use cases here, we see cost, agility, flexibility, and simplified operations. These truly are the pinnacle of the different drivers of enterprises' move to IT. So a little bit about NaviSite. If we think about NaviSite, we think about managed application services. I mentioned some applications before. NaviSite is one of the largest providers of several different applications, including Oracle e-Business Suite, PeopleSoft, and Microsoft Exchange, Lotus Notes, Microsoft SharePoint, the Microsoft Dynamics suites. Many of these are available in a single-tenant or multi-tenant model as well. Managed hosting services. NaviSite has well over 10,000 servers in our data centers that we're managing every day on behalf of over 1,500 organizations. And these organizations depend on NaviSite to manage their servers from the infrastructure on up through the OS, and in many cases, including the application. And managed messaging and collaboration. This is really, from what I've seen, and I've been in the industry for 10 years now, it's really the gateway drug, if you will. If you think about in an organization and they think about email, it's mission critical today, it always needs to be up, and it's the easiest application to really move forward with. And we think about Lotus Notes, Microsoft Exchange, and some of the great use cases for moving email to the cloud. And now if we look at all those services, today they're all moving to the cloud. So NaviSite has many projects under the way to take these applications and deploy them on the cloud. And this is what gets really exciting, because when you think about a new deployment of a large ERP suite taking several weeks, it can now take several days or less. And that's really what cloud computing is all about. And we think about enterprises and what they're really looking for in the cloud, and certainly that's key. So that's it. Thanks. Yeah. So real briefly, I just wanted to mention that tonight we have a special event. It's at the Hudson Hotel. and I encourage you to stop by our booth and pick up an invitation. We're super excited to meet with our customers and partners. We've got product managers, and our entire executive team is here in New York, and they'd love to meet with you and interact with you. So,
There's
thanks.
an invitation.
Thanks.
I would take him up. Thank you again,
All right.
William.
Thanks.
Stepping in for Claudine, we will...